Yes, sir, Ed.
I have really a big concern about the sobriety checks. And I wanted to know, did you consider the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution when you asked for the money to do sobriety checks?
Yeah, we actually did those sobriety, or we,
Assisted.
yeah, we asked for the grant and with respect to Conway and Wakefield Police Departments. I understand those Fourth Amendment issues that people bring up. Those have been vetted in the court. All I can tell you is that from the strict execution of the process, it isn't a random thing, and that it's, you know, published and it's very well orchestrated, and I really don't think anybody's rights are being violated during those checks. Now, there are other ways to do those DWI checks, and the other most popular way, and the one that I think is most effective, is they have random police patrols as opposed to a roadblock, and I really don't like that term roadblock, but it's a roadblock. Those tend to be more effective as far as sheer numbers. But then on the other hand, there have been some significant public safety accomplishments by the roadblock style of the DWI checkpoint. But that has been through the court many times at this point, and the guidance back has been, as long as it is done strictly, you know, as long as it is structured with a set policy, that it's valid and legal, and we make sure that happens.
Follow up. The main problem it seems that people have is that somehow you're using, like to coin a phrase, you're using like a pre-crime technique to single out people who may or may not be intoxicated. And the problem I think most of the public has is a judge is selecting an area that apparently is warranted. And people don't understand, how can you get a warrant for someone when you're not giving a person, a place, and things to be seized. They don't understand that. People didn't know what articulable suspicion was, and I still don't understand, how do you suspect that somebody is drunk if they haven't committed the crime yet? So that's the issue that people are having.
Yeah, it's you know, it's certainly an issue that had to be answered, and I think it has. I think that those sobriety checkpoints have impacted public safety. We've arrested some very drunk people out of those things that might not have otherwise been stopped. So, you know, based on the public safety and the risks to the public, I think it's a good program, and it has shown success. And I think if you saw it, you'd be comfortable with it. If you saw it. Probably not, but maybe.
Another question: in your career, did you ever not do something because you felt personally it violated the Constitution of the United States? Like, did you ever actually say, "I'm not going to do that," because of a certain amendment, or did you ever have a concern?
That's an interesting question. I would have to sit down and think about it and get back to you on that.
Well, the main firestorm on the internet is that main question. Since you took note to uphold the Constitution, you are the last arbitrator and protection of those rights. And technically, the public feels that if you're given a task to do something, even though it's in law, that you have the ability to say, "I'm not doing that because I believe it's against the Fourth Amendment, the Second Amendment, etc." That's our final protection of that right.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly understand that, and that has been proven time and time in history, not only in civilian, but certainly in any type of look at military law. But I would really have to sit down and think about that to answer your question. One thing I can tell you, that police officers, law enforcement, with very few exceptions, and I believe there are only 3, your authority to well, to make arrests. It is discretionary. And so based upon that ability to have that discretion, I think answers most of those constitutional concerns people have. But that's an excellent question, and certainly one we should always think about.
My comment also would be that these aren't held during normal hours, am I correct? I mean,
Yeah,
these
well,
are held at sometime in the morning,
Right.
on the weekend? Or
Yeah,
what?
usually they start around midnight and go to about 2 a.m.
And in the
2 to
past,
4.
it's been very successful in catching some of these people that shouldn't be on the road.
I got stopped sometimes around like 6, 7 o'clock in the evening.
Sobriety test?
Yeah.
Did you pass?
I wasn't driving, but yes.
So you'll say,
Yes, Ed. One more follow-up, okay?
One more follow-up. I mean, it's really important, you just, to separate if it's effective or not. The amendment's there to protect that right, and the public. I mean, there's a firestorm not only on mainstream media, but on the internet and every blog around about this subject, and it's gonna come up again. And people just wanna know that, yes, it may be effective. It may be effective to pull everyone over, because then you would stop everything. But at what point do we wanna draw that line to, intervene? Now, on the effectiveness of it, if you look at the data of the effectiveness of it, it's less than 5% overall? I mean, it's not really a credible means of stopping drunk driving. And the public feels that perhaps some of that money that's used for the sobriety checks and breathalyzer machines and huge vans and roadblocks and overtime could be shifted to the health issue, which is alcoholism.
well, you have some very insightful observations, and I can assure you that we are subject to the guidance of the people, and that based on that, we are always going to try to do the right thing. But you certainly have some valid points, and these things have to be talked about and then talked about again.
And isn't it true that it's announced in the paper and the media that this is gonna happen at a certain time?
Yeah, it's announced in the paper, and there's a court procedure to allow it to happen, and I know people that have avoided going through them just because it was in the paper, and they said, well, yeah, that's fine, but I'm gonna be going the other way, because I don't want to deal with a roadblock.
Just to clarify, it's not the date and time, it's just that at some point during a particular week in some place there'll be a roadblock.
Right, yeah, there's a
Okay,
way.
people can figure it out, but it's not scheduled, in a really precise way
Okay.
for the public.
Plus, there's an opportunity for people not to go through it. We're not chasing down people that don't want to go through it.
Yeah.
That answers some of that concern, so.
You can avoid it if you don't want to
Right,
stop.
yeah, if somebody sees it up ahead and they,
Oh, just pull off the road.
yeah, they can pull off the road and go back,
Be
or,
a danger in
you
the
know,
local
change.
community, that makes sense.
Yes, Damon?
Ed and I spoke to the Wakefield chief, and that's not quite true, because they will chase you. If you have something else wrong with your car, like a tail light out, they will stop you, but they do look at people who turn around.
And
It is hard to
Well, they
miss,
should.
miss that driving behavior.
Okay. Are we finished with that issue? Okay. Got anything else, Forrest?
No, I have
Other
a,
than non-public, I guess?
no, I have a speed grant that I wanted to drop off for your review.
Okay.
It's for a speed enforcement on a 16 car. It's the same one we've been doing. for
In the
some-
southern part of the Route 16?
This one's not named, I think it's on a range. It says Southern Carroll County, so it'd be Ossipee.
It's where most of the accidents have happened, I believe, right, over the years?
Also, the open